You won't believe this. The dad convinced the sheriff with just a few words. Then the debate team geared up. The teacher drove them like a nighttime road trip, but midway they hit a shocking scene. A black man was hanging from a tree, straight out of a horror movie. The teacher quickly turned off the lights and signaled the students to duck, but someone maliciously flipped the lights back on. The second they spotted the driver was black, they charged like crazed bulls. Luckily, the teacher had top-notch driving skills and sped away. After escaping, the psychological impact was monumental, with Henry darting to the bar for a drink and eventually succumbing to the urge to buy a ticket home bright and early. Thus, FOMO got their first shot at debating, but standing on stage, they felt like deer in headlights. As law students, they found themselves powerless against the white bullies. Watching the white folks go wild, they felt utterly helpless. The idea of fairness and justice at that moment was laughably absurd. They lost the debate badly. At home, FOMO hugged father tightly, as if in a warm embrace. At this moment, FOMO finally understood their father's compromises, but luck wasn't on their side. The teacher was grounded in town due to his participation, and lucky for him, he received an invitation from Harvard's debate, the most prestigious debate stage in the U.S. Tears in his eyes, the teacher at last got a chance for African Americans' voices to be heard nationwide. Next morning, all arrived at the station to depart. Just before boarding, the teacher dramatically revealed he couldn't cope with them, and just like that, they set off to Harvard on their own. As soon as they stepped off the train, a Harvard student showed up to greet them, letting them know the debate would be all the rage. It would even be broadcasted live nationwide, giving black folks a chance to shine. Next, they entered Harvard's debate hall, living the Harvard dream for the what's the goal? What is it? Ask again, what's the goal? What's the goal? Just checking in, what's the goal? It felt like they were chasing stars. This all felt so mind-boggling. It actually made them feel a newfound level of respect. Just when everything seemed peachy bam, a letter dropped in, breaking the calm. Turns out Harvard found out about Willie's debate script. Upon learning Willie College's arguments were teacher-written, they swiftly changed the debate topic. FOMO and Harvard had just 48 HRS to prep, so they called the teacher no answer. With no other options available, they had no choice but to search through materials themselves to write the drafts, yet it wasn't long before they were tossing unsuitable words around like discarded orange peels. Suddenly everyone got a shock. Even the Harvard waitstaff had an artistic flair. Next, they launched into a fierce battle over opening lines, and Henry, in effect, stormed out like a drama king. Perhaps trying to escape reality or overcome by pressure, Henry decided a drink at the bar was the way to go, but he found black folks stuck in the shadows. Meanwhile, white folks lounged in fancy cars, showcasing the glaring disparity before his eyes. Suddenly, Henry realized what true equality looked like. So he returned to his pad and overnight crafted arguments against Harvard, deciding FOMO would be the main debater. Shocker alert. However, nobody understood why FOMO was stepping up. Last time was a complete At that very moment, with tears welling up in his eyes, Henry posed the question that the teacher had asked countless times. Had he already ceased to exist? Because he was a resolute voice, relentlessly pursuing the truth, and courageously speaking it out loud. The debate kicked off as scheduled, nearly all white folks in the audience, while those tuned in on the radio were holding their breath in reverence. They were afraid to miss out on this historic moment as the Harvard president took the mic, officially launching the debate with FOMO going first. Subtitles: Is passive resistance a moral tool for justice? FOMO recounts the 1919 Amritsar massacre in India. Thousands gathered to oppose British tyranny, only for General Dyer to seal them inside a trap. 10. Order troops to fire into the crowd for 10 minutes. 379 casualties. Among the dead were many old folks and children, yet Dyer twisted it into a moral lesson. In stark contrast, Mahatma Gandhi and his followers chose the path of nonviolent resistance. With their leadership, the government buildings were stormed, and even beaten by police, they persisted undeterred. This series of actions forced the British authorities to release Gandhi, who humorously called it a moral victory, inspiring applause for FOMO's words. The audience burst into applause. FOMO hit the nail on the head and sparked deep moral reflections. The Harvard team immediately countered, claiming rebellion meant violence and bloodshed, and cited disastrous wartime casualty figures. Each figure vastly eclipsed the Amritsar massacre, stressing that the number of lives lost didn't matter. Key lies in rights and freedoms won through fierce struggle. Passive resistance brings heavy losses. Fighting bravely for nation was the ultimate moral code. The Harvard debater's words drew loud applause. Meanwhile, the teachers snuck into the venue, and the debaters dove into a heated clash. The debate could be described as a fierce back and forth exchange, with neither side willing to give in, until a Harvard debater shared a personal anecdote about his police officer father, which sparked thunderous applause. White folks in the audience jumped to their feet in cheer, and as victory tipped toward Harvard, FOMO felt the weight of the world on their shoulders. FOMO scribbled furiously in his notebook, but at the podium he was speechless. Subtitles. He remained silent for 30 seconds as a form of expressing his rebellion, and then started to recount a recent personal experience of his own. Was this truly considered a crime committed by a black person? Should he really be arrested? Was he some sort of monster? Or just a black man? Was his child waiting for him? Whatever he did, his mom was labeled a criminal too.